What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, Big Dog Brett. Thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share. Our first live show of the year, guys. We still got some bugs to work out here. There's one of them right there. We're trying to get some stuff adjusted out for you guys, make it look a little better. So bear with us. We did some testing, didn't quite get it the way we wanted to, but we're getting close. So that's what it is. Well, guys, what's going on? 225 Girl. Glad to see you back here. One of our resident staples in our community. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you guys. Back into football season, guys. Pretty excited about that. Unfortunately, my very first weekend of the dogs back, I'm actually going to be on the road. I'm going to be out of town. I am going to be halfway across the country. I will be in Oklahoma. So tomorrow I'll be on the road and in the air and then back on the road again. So wanted to go ahead and do a live show tonight before tomorrow night shows up. Probably not going to be able to pull off a live show tomorrow. So, but hey, we're going to do the best we can. We appreciate you guys for being here. As the season gets started back off again, as usual, I'm going to ask you guys to like and subscribe. Please leave a comment down below your thoughts of what you think is going to happen this season. There's a lot that's going to go on. There we go. Things still screwing up. Whatever. Some of the auto adjustments on this camera just aren't what I want them to be. So may need to upgrade that soon. We'll see what happens. Let's see here. I'm gonna keep playing with this stuff till I get it right. Till I get it like I want it. Get it like I want it. Oh, that looks terrible. Terrible. Sometimes I really hate this thing. Okay. Nonetheless, now I'm like the wrong color. Whatever. What happened to the FSU video I did? I was looking for your reaction and laughing at them. It should be up. Is it not up? I know initially, like it went right. Like I updated the thumbnail, and then for some reason it kicked it to private, and then no, it's up. It's been up for 3 days. It's got some views on it, so I mean it should be there. 27 thumbs up though. That's really nice for you guys. Appreciate that. Anyway, what's up, Zephyroth? I'm sure we'll get some more people in here in a little bit. But we're going to go ahead and get started into it, man. First week of college football, looking at what's coming up here. Obviously, we've already seen what's going down with Florida State. Really? Losing to Georgia Tech. Hats off to Georgia Tech. The rushing leader, Jamal Hayes, with 75 yards in that game. DJ Ugalele was he threw for 193 and they still lost that game. What a pitiful performance. I don't want to pour too much salt in that wound. I might get sued. They might feel like I was I'm on the list if I do that. So all right, well let's kind of jump into it here. Thursday, you know, if you want to watch something, you could watch UCF versus New Hampshire. I'm kind of interested to see what Gus Malzahn's doing. There's some talk that he might be on to something down there. We'll see what happens. Missouri at Murray State. I'm really interested to see what Missouri is going to look like. I think there's some opportunity for Missouri to move up in the rankings throughout the season. But I want to see how they look. It's first game of the season. It's a Thursday night at Missouri. It's kind of weird, but whatever. If you want to go to that game, though, if you're a Missouri fan, you want to go to that game, you can get tickets. You can get tickets for $15. The line on this game is one of the biggest I've ever seen. It's 46.5 points. The over-under is 57.5. So I think personally, I feel like 46 is a lot. If I was going to bet this game, I'd bet Murray State, but Kansas, ranked 22, playing Lindenwood. Their line is 45. I would probably pick Kansas, but 45 is a lot. So on a betting line, I'd pick Lindenwood, but oh man, I am rusty. It's been a while. Woo. Life's been busy. Been busy, 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 busy. Of course, we've got the Georgia Clemson game. We'll talk about that some more here in a minute. We've got Penn State versus Virginia. Number 8, Penn State. Penn State by 8 against an unranked team in West Virginia. I think that's kind of weird. That's basically a touchdown. Now they're playing at West Virginia home field. The home team gets to 3 points, makes it 10 points, whatever. But 8 points, man, that seems really low. That seems really, really low for a top 10 ranked team. But that's just me. By the way, if you want to go see that game, it's one of the highest priced tickets of Saturday at $197 a ticket. It's kind of crazy. It's got to be one of the highest, if not the highest. I think it is the highest. Yeah, it is the highest. By the way, if you want to go watch Georgia Clemson at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, it's $98. You can get a ticket for $98. Crazy. But we'll get into it. Noon games, you've got some really good noon games as far as top ranked matchups. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4 teams in the top 25. If you want to say Tennessee playing at 12:45 as a noon game, which it kind of is, they're ranked number 15, but they're playing Chattanooga. So whatever. They should win that game. Iowa playing Illinois State. I'm really interested to see what's going to happen at Iowa. Iowa has always had a pretty good defense, but now it seems like, from what we're hearing, they're going to have a little better offense. We'll see what happens. Keep an eye on that game. Oklahoma State playing South Dakota State. No big deal there. And then Ohio State and Texas are playing at the same time at 3:30. Ohio State's playing Akron with a 48.5 point gap at number 2. Okay, I can understand that. Texas, ranked number 4. They're favored by 32 points against Colorado State. That seems a little much to me. I know Texas is a really good team, but 32 points is a lot. The over-under 60. So you're basically saying that the other team's going to get, they're going to score what, 28 points. So you think the number 4 ranked team in the country is going to give up 24 points, and that's crazy. That's a lot. That's a lot. So you're I don't know. Probably got the math wrong on that, but I mean you're looking at Texas got to win by 32. The over under 60. That leaves you a gap of what? 32 minus 60 is 20, 28. So that means they're going to score 14. Colorado State's going to score 14, 18. They're going to score 18. I don't know. That's insane. To think Texas is going to hang 32 on them, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, Colorado State, not a good football team. Not even. So they're not a great football team. But if you go back and you look at the schedule last year, nobody really scored over 41 points. Granted, they didn't play much of anybody. I think Washington State scored 50. But I don't know. That just seems like that's a lot of points. That's a lot of points. What's up, DC the Great 34? $98 gets you nosebleeds. A big difference from a few months ago when they were 300. True, but if you've ever been to Mercedes-Benz Stadium, there's really no bad seats in that place. That place is pretty phenomenal. What's going on, Cal? He says, what's going on? Brett, football is back. Go Dogs. Yes, sir. Go Dogs. I need to change the banner here. Tell you guys, I'm out of practice. Like big time. Let's just turn the banner off because I don't have an updated one that makes sense. So we're just going to leave that off. Oh, my goodness. All right. Let's see. Texas, Colorado State. I'm interested to see what Quinn Ewers is going to do. I'm really interested also in watching Ohio State. I kind of wish these games were at different times just so that I could watch what's going on. It's going to be, I don't know. Kyle McCord has left. He's playing at Syracuse, so they got a brand new quarterback in there. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. So, is what it is. Then you can flip back and forth between those two games. I would also keep an eye on Iowa State. I'm interested to see how they're going to do. I'm kind of interested to see how Nebraska is going to do. I'm certainly going to watch the Miami-Florida game. That's probably going to be the game I'll watch the most that day. Obviously, Billy Napier's on the hot seat. Miami keeps trying to be back, but never really seem to achieve the goal. I think Tennessee is way closer to being back than Miami is. If you look at last year's schedule, um, they had some boneheaded head scratching losses. Like that loss to Georgia Tech was just weird. Um, they lost to North Carolina State. They only scored 6 points in that game. Again, kind of weird. And then they lost to Rutgers at the end of the season. So just kind of looking at what they had last year, yeah, they lost 6 games, but God, they're better than that. I really feel like they're better than that. Let's see. Still debating on going. Man, listen, if I was in town, I would go. 100% I would go. For tickets for tickets that cheap, for chickets. Chicklets. For tickets that cheap, I would go for $100. That's I mean, you can't even go to you can't go to a rock concert and especially not in a venue like Mercedes-Benz Stadium for $100. Not for anybody that's good. Certainly not the number one band in the country. You couldn't go for $100. There's no way. But anyway, Florida Miami game. Miami is favored by 2.5. The number 19th ranked team in the country is somehow only a 2.5 point favorite over Florida, which is freaking terrible. Florida's terrible. I don't know if you guys have had an opportunity to look at Florida's schedule, but my lord, they're going to play Miami. Miami should win that game, but they should win it by more than 3 points. I think they're going to lose to Texas A&M. They might lose to Mississippi State. They'll probably lose to UCF. Tennessee will beat them. I think Kentucky will beat them, even though that's one of those games. Blah blah blah. Georgia beat them. Texas beat them. LSU beat them. Florida State beat them. I mean, Ole Miss will beat them, and they got to play Florida State at the end of the year. By that time, they may have been so downtrodden that their players just give up. I mean, you're looking at was this like 4 or 5 years in a row they'll have a losing season. Absolutely terrible. But they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 losses easy on this. And if they don't get a hold of it, they could have 8 or 9. I mean, this could be the worst year in 5 hours out. Wow. This could be the worst year of Florida football since geez, I don't even know. I don't even know. I don't even know how to begin to lay that out. Um there's just there's no excuse. I know Florida's recruiting rankings haven't been amazing, but they haven't been completely in the toilet. Let me pull that up real quick. I because I'm curious. Now I'm curious. Um, so I usually use 24/7 Sports for recruiting rankings. So Florida is ranked 24th in recruiting with 1 5-star and 7 4-stars. So that's 2025. That's too far out. Let's go last year, 2023. Where's Florida? Florida ranked number 13th. 18 4-stars. Jeez, dude. 18 4-stars. Go back to 2022. 7 4-stars. Not great, but they still finished 18th in the country. Go back to 2021, because that's really what we're looking at roster wise. They were number 12 in the country, 1 5-star and 15 4-stars. If you add all that together, that's what, 2 5-stars and 40 something 4-stars. I mean, you should have 4-stars all over the field, and you're turning in losing seasons. That's unacceptable. That's really unacceptable. You should be fired immediately. We're gonna try this light again because it's. I don't know what I got to do to fix this thing, guys. It seems like every time I try to fix this thing, it just gets worse. See, this looks terrible. Now I'm irritated. I don't know. I'm gonna restore defaults. Watch what happens. Ah, look at that. The Instatan. There we go. We'll go with this. We'll see what happens with that. It's still terrible, but whatever. It's way too bright. 5 hours out. Where are you at that you're 5 hours out, sir? That's a long way. That's a long way. But yeah, so Florida's got recruiting. That's all over the map. They've got plenty of four-star talent. They shouldn't be turning in these kind of performances, especially like last year. I mean, that was that was unacceptable by any standard. When you look at what the expectation is in the SEC, they lost the last 5 games straight, with one of those being to Arkansas in overtime. Um, Mertz in the South Carolina game, he had to throw for 423 yards to win that game by 2 points. He threw, I mean, he had the game of his life at 423 yards, and they won by 2 points. Of course, they lost to Georgia, lost to Arkansas, lost to LSU, lost to Missouri, and lost to Florida State. Now, that was a rough run. Don't get me wrong. They did beat Tennessee, though. So there's that. But they can't seem to beat Kentucky. They can't seem to beat Georgia. Um, and I mean, you're not going to be able to stick around a big. I am absolutely not a Florida fan. You're in Mississippi. That's a long drive. You're right. I'm not a Florida fan by any stretch of the imagination, but I got to tell you, you cannot be at a name brand college football program like Florida and be turning in these kind of performances. They got rid of Jim McElwain, should have kept him. He won the SEC like 2 or 3 years in a row, then they fired him because he had a bad season. It's like, what? How can you possibly justify keeping Billy Napier this long whenever the performance that you fired Jim McElwain for was far less than this? I mean, was nowhere near as bad as this. Like his transgressions were nothing compared to this, but whatever. So yeah. What else we got here? Alabama versus Western Kentucky. Super interested in watching this game. Alabama's favored by 32, which kind of seems weird because they're playing at home. So they're playing Western Kentucky. They're playing at Tuscaloosa, and I know that it's going to sound weird when I say this, but they're only favored by 32, right? Only favored by 32 at home field, and you're the number 5 team in the country. Wait a minute. Well, how is that even possible? That don't even make any sense, because when you go back up here and you look at number 4, Texas, they're favored by 32. Alabama's favored by 32. But what doesn't make any sense is then you go to Ohio State versus Akron, and it's almost 50 points. It's a 16-point jump. It's 2 more touchdowns. I don't know, dude. I don't. I want to see what Debo does there at Alabama, and I'm sure he'll put on a good performance against Western Kentucky because they got a lot of talent on that field. But I want to see what happens here. Ole Miss versus Furman. Ole Miss should crush those guys. Lane is doing a good job out there. He's especially doing a good job on recruiting and getting the right guys in there. They seem to be doing really well. Same time, 7 o'clock. You got Kansas State playing UT Martin. Great. Watch that if you want to. But the 7:30 game that you're going to want to watch is number 20 Texas A&M versus Notre Dame. I don't know how in the world Texas A&M is ranked 20th. I really don't, and I don't know how Notre Dame's ranked number 7. I feel like both of these teams ought to be a little further down the ladder than they are. But I think Notre Dame should win this game, but I think it's going to come down to the final possession. I mean, you could really get this either way. Either way, doesn't matter. Let's see here. What else we got? I think it's really all of the good games. And Sunday, you got LSU versus USC. Kind of interested to see that game, but I don't know how much weight I'm going to put into it because it's a Sunday game. I hate Sunday games. Sunday games always come with problems. I don't know why they seem to come with problems, but it seems like you end up with a double overtime or multiple interceptions, or I mean, it's never like a normal regular game. So, I'm also don't understand how you've got number 13 ranked LSU playing number 23 USC, which practically means you're unranked. LSU at home, and home field, we've already said home field advantage gives you roughly 3 points. LSU's favored by 4. And I get these are betting lines and they move based on how people bet. But the number 13 ranked team at home at night in Death Valley, supposedly one of the most intimidating places on the planet, and LSU by 4? What is that telling you? What is that telling you? That's I don't know. That's odd. And of course you got Flop State playing on Monday against Boston College. So I don't know. Maybe they'll rebound and get a win there, but they looked absolutely terrible against they looked absolutely terrible against Georgia Tech. Hey, that first drive looked really good, and everything after that was just kind of looked like hot trash. But that's just me. All right, okay, enough. I'm done. I'm done with it. I'm done with it. It's over. I'm going to talk about it some more, but it's done. All right, let's get into it. Let's talk about Georgia football. LSU as a conference, USA defense. Still, let's hope for a last fest when Colorado plays Thursday. Oh yes, we have to talk about Deion State. It's not Colorado anymore. It's Deion State. Um, for those of you who don't know, you can go check the record. I do not like Deion. I do not like Deion because of the way I watched him, how he treated those players when he walked in, and he is, and I'm sure if you've watched my channel for any length of time, you've already heard this. But those of you that are new, you're gonna hear it again. I don't like Deion Sanders because of the way he treated those players when he walked in the door. He basically degraded these guys. He basically told them he didn't care about them. He told them that they needed to leave. Like it was just absolutely embarrassing. And for a guy who supposedly preaches faith, God, glory to God. That's great. It's great that you do that, but you can't say that and then walk in there and treat those kids like that. They didn't fire the players; they fired the coach. So you came in to replace the coach. So what did you do? You turned over a bunch of players, and what did you do? You had a losing season. All that trash talking you was doing, and then he refuses to talk to certain reporters because they're critical of him. Yeah, that's that all that's telling me is that you don't know what you're doing. I am going to watch the Colorado game. Colorado's favored by 10. I hope they lose. And I hope they lose royally bad. Now the team does have some talent on it, but I don't know how much cohesion they have. If you look at how they played the last several games, all they did was try to throw the ball, and that's not going to work. I mean, that's just not going to work. I think that the reason that Deion Sanders plays the way he plays his team is because he doesn't know really how to coach. And you can't convince me that Deion Sanders knows how to coach whenever he lost 6 games straight. Yes, count them, 6. He lost 6 in a row. He lost 8 out of the last 9 games he played. 8 out of the last 9 that he played. Absolutely terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Poor, pitiful, poverty coaching. What's up, Celine? Can't call him thick no more. He's Celine. Still lean. Fire Strickland, fire Napier, clean house, 3-9 season. You showed up a little late, Celine. I've already beat up on Florida. But I mean, I can do it again if you like. I mean, I don't want to leave them out. If you look at Colorado's 2024 season, I'll give you a quick breakdown on that. A bunch of dad blame losses, a bunch of them. They're gonna lose probably. They're probably gonna have a 3-9 season. I think North Dakota State could beat them. I mean, I know people are beating up on North Dakota State, and I get it because you don't know who North Dakota State is. North Dakota State was first in their division last year. They finished first in their division. This is not a terrible team. They lost 1 game to South Dakota State, 1 game to North Dakota, and they lost 1 game to South Dakota. They beat everybody else they played. Then they did lose in double overtime in the championship semifinals to Montana. But this team knows how to play. This is a well put together team. You're winning that many games a season. Don't believe the hype. Well, Bama lose 3 games this season. That's what I'm betting. What's up, Ronaldo? Good to see you, sir. I just want Deion to throw his hat Spurs style and refuse post-game media. It's coming. It's coming. I can go ahead and tell you that my prediction for Deion Sanders is that as the season goes along, anytime anybody says anything critical to him, it's because you're against him as a person for whatever reason. Whether you're against him because he's tall, you're against him because he's skinny, you're against him because he's fat, you're just against him, and the players deserve better, and he's not going to put up with that. And if you can't respect his time and kiss his feet, then he's just not going to talk to you. That's what I expect to see happen. So, yeah. Labor Day weekend will be interesting, sir. That is a fact. That is a fact of cause. Alrighty. But yeah, I'll be watching that game, hoping they lose. Promise you that. It will be difficult for me to do my typical normal live streams that I do for the games because I'm going to be traveling on Saturday. I am traveling cross country with my daughter, and family comes first. I love football. Family comes first, but my daughter is probably my wife. My wife and my kids are the only ones that can drag me away from football on Saturday. Stand by. Let's try it again. No, that didn't work. Oh well. Yep. So you can't say nothing against Dion, are you? Oh Lord. I think some people have been accused of that. Even people that are clearly not, have been accused of that. And I think that's pretty well, we'll just call it pretty shameful. Yeah. So there's that. Georgia. Let's talk about the Georgia game. We haven't talked about the Georgia game. Need to talk about Georgia game. Gotta talk about Georgia game 30 minutes in. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Oh, Georgia versus Clemson. You know, I forgot all about that game. I forgot. Man, I forgot all about that game. So here's what I'm looking at. It's a noon game. I don't like noon games, but hey, I guess it is what it is. It's a little bit of a familiar area for Georgia, obviously playing at the opener. Apparently, the SEC championship game is going to be there as well. So there's a good chance Georgia plays in that building twice this year. I could be wrong. But yeah, looking at this particular game, Georgia versus Clemson, you've got a tried and true, trusted competitor in Carson Beck versus Cade Klubnik. And Cade Klubnik, geez, that name's tough for me to say sometimes. Guys, I don't have a lot of faith in him. A lot of Cade Klubnik's own fans don't have a lot of faith in him. He threw for 64%, had 19 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. Basically, he throws an interception for every other touchdown. I can assure you, if you give Georgia multiple turnovers, that game is absolutely over. Absolutely over. What's up, Johnny Bolton? Been a minute. About time to get back. Yeah, man, it's time to get back at it. Time to get back at it. Free shoes, you lose. Yeah. Yeah, that was yeah. Looking at this game, Georgia has lost basically to one team in like the past 4 years, and that's Alabama in the regular season. That's it. They have had undefeated seasons in the SEC and SEC play. I think the Clemson Tiger program has fallen off from where it was. You can tout all the talent you want to, but the records speak for themselves. I don't know. I don't know what they expect to get out of this upcoming season. Um, I wouldn't say that they have any better than a 9-3 season. I'm not going to predict Georgia to go undefeated, but the one game they would lose is going to be a roll of the dice. It's going to be one of those weird things that just happens if they lose a game, and it's nearly impossible to call because stats wise, I mean, Georgia should beat every team they play. That's coming from a Georgia homer, is what it is. Now, let's talk about the running backs that they have over at. We've already discussed that Cade Klubnik is going to struggle. It's going to be one of the best defenses he sees all season, and it's the very first game. He has a ton of play time. I think he's been there for 3 or 4 years. He should be on the ball. He should be further progressed from where he is now, but he's not. He continues to kind of hover in that range of 63%. Unless you're an elite quarterback, you're probably not going to beat Georgia just on quarterback play. Clubs is Ooga Beluga, brother. I think you meant to say Oogie Badoogie or something like that. Yeah. Just looking at the process of the team lineup here. Listen, last year I love watching Will Shipley play. Will Shipley, in my opinion, was one of the best running backs in the ACC, if not most of college football. And he's playing Right now, he's playing for the Philadelphia Eagles. So that leaves him with Phil Maffa. I thought they should have put Phil Maffa in a lot last year. This guy is talented. I like watching him play. He runs hard. He is a downhill runner. He averaged 5 yards a season, which is good, which is good. But when you actually stack him up against a good defense, the only good defense that he did well against last year that I can find is against Notre Dame. He averaged 5.5 yards a carry. When he played UNC, it was 3.7. 3.7 ain't going to get you where you need to be. It's not. You got to do better than that. Graham Mertz is elite. I don't know about all that. Um, but essentially, looking at the Clemson Tigers, you've got Phil Maffa, who he's going to be your go-to guy now. Will Shipley is gone. Cade Klubnik was your third best rusher last year, and he averaged 1.5 yards. Okay, he had the most yards, 182. After that, you had Dominique Thomas. He left and went to Ole Miss, so he's gone. So then who have you got? You got Keith Adams Jr., and he rushed for a grand total of 60 yards last year. Grand total, 60 yards. And I think that those were all in one game, or 41 yards. Yeah. He had 2 runs against Charleston. No, that's Tristan Rigby. Keith Adams Jr., he played against Georgia Tech. He had 4 carries. FAU, he had 2 carries. And then Charleston Southern, he had 5 carries. So in his entire career, he has 11 carries, or excuse me, 14 total, 11 last year. Tristan Rigby, 2 carries total forever. That's your running back squad. Now, unless they've got somebody in there out of the transfer portal that I don't know about, but very, very, very concerned. I don't care how good your offensive line is. You got to remember you're going against a top level elite defense and the number 1 rated team in the country at University of Georgia, which is known for their defense. It's going to be rough. If they can't run the ball, you're not going to pass all over Georgia. If you're not going to run the ball, it's going to be a rough day. And I just don't know how much they're going to be able to get from Phil Maffa. I just don't. Receiving, they've had some really good receivers. But again, one of their best receivers, Will Shipley, is gone. You got Tyler Brown. This is all from last year. Tyler Brown was one of your best guys. I think he's back. Bo Collins, who was your second best guy, he's gone to Notre Dame. Then you got Jake bringing Stools, however you say his name. I think he's back. You got Troy Stiletto, Adam Randall. I mean, if you look at what they've got some pretty decent receivers. But I feel like that whole room's pretty depleted. I think they might have picked up 1 or 2 more guys. I think they're going to be okay. But again, you're talking about a Georgia team that is prepped and prepared to run the gauntlet here and go win a national title. Now, the matchup predictor on ESPN is giving the Clemson Tigers about an 18% chance of winning this game. I feel like that's a little bold. I feel like maybe 10%. I think Dabo Swinney has completely fallen off of the ladder for recruiting. I just don't feel like that he is changing towards college football the way that he needs to. Now, there was a few years back whenever you could say, hey, we are getting the players we want, not necessarily the most highly ranked players, and we're making the most of what we have, except that you're not making the most out of what you have. When you look at the schedule, you go back and you look at just last year, not a terrible season, not a great season. You lost 4 games in the regular season, but one of them was to North Carolina State. First one was to Duke. I mean, if you come out and you play against Georgia the way you guys played against Duke, and by the way, Shipley ran for 114 yards in that game, Georgia's going to hang 50 on you. They're going to try to. I promise they're going to try to. Georgia's going to come out and want to make a statement. I get Clemson wants to make a statement, but you got to have the talent to do it and keep up. Georgia's had plenty of time to recruit and I won't say recover, but Georgia's had plenty of time to be able to get back in the mix here and get the players they want on board. I'm gonna name just this last year. It's 2025. Let's go to 2023 last year. Here's all of the teams that are out recruiting Clemson: Alabama, Georgia, Texas, Ohio State. Usual suspects, right? You got Oklahoma. Oklahoma, really? Oklahoma's out recruiting Clemson? When's the last time Oklahoma won a national title? In a little while. LSU, okay. Miami. Why is Miami out recruiting Clemson? Why? Oregon, USC, Tennessee. All of these teams are out recruiting Clemson. Now you can say, well, in that year we got one 5-star and one 18 or 18 4-stars. Hey, great, good job. But here's the problem: you're losing 4 games a season with that. It's not going to work. Go back to 2022 season. You lost 3 games that season. 2021 lost 3 games that season. Traditional 9-3 team here. And granted, it's really hard to win 10 games a season. I get it. But you got to use the portal. You got to fill in the gaps where you can. Hey, what's going on, Texas Rocks? Yes, I'm back, sir. Statement of the night right there. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe and share, all that good stuff. So when you're really getting into it and you start digging into the brass tacks, they don't have the Joes. They don't have the guys on the field to compete with Georgia. I really don't see how this team is going to compete with Georgia. I'm not saying they don't have a rabid fan base. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that there isn't plenty to talk about when it comes to the opportunities they may have to win the game. I just don't feel like there's a whole lot of them. Let's jump into Georgia's team. Carson Beck threw for almost 4,000 yards last year. 72.4 completion percentage on that many yards. Now, it's one thing to throw for 70% when you throw for 2,000 yards, but throw for 72% and throw 4,000 yards. Big difference. 24 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. So rather than a 1-2 ratio, we got a 1-4 ratio. You got, I think Roderick Robinson is out with an injury, but you've got Trevor Etienne. He's going to be running for Georgia. So you got Cash Jones, you got Dylan Bell. All of these are elite guys. All of them are elite guys. So Georgia's got plenty of stuff in the running back room. Andrew Paul did really good last year. Now, granted, Brock Bowers is gone. And Ladd McConkey is gone. But Ra Thomas is gone. But Georgia still has quite a few elite receivers and a lot of guys that have been showing out in practice. I'm not going to go through a whole list of all the guys, but there's a lot. The thing I really want to kind of focus on is that with the loss of Brock Bowers, who was our leading receiver, that should be – there is a spider here. Let's see him. There's no longer a spider here. I don't know where he came from. The ceiling, I guess. So, hey, what's up, Bubba Man? Bubba Man. What's up, Ballard? Appreciate you guys being here. Defense for Georgia will be crazy. It will be absolutely elite. Now ETN will be elite. He sure as hell wasn't elite. He was, Celine. He absolutely was elite. And I will tell you what, here's what I'll do for you, Celine. I'm gonna go to Georgia's schedule. That'll get me to the Florida game. Then I can click on the Florida Gators. Then I can click on stats. And then I can go down here and I can look at rushing. Okay. Let's be honest. You guys' offensive line was terrible. It just was. I mean, and I can prove that because I can say Graham Mertz got sacked 31 times and Max Brown, the backup, got sacked 7. Okay. That's terrible. He had 212 lost yards on just sacks. Graham Mertz was in trouble, running for his life. I mean, he was a track star back there. Trevor Etienne, even under that pressure, still put up 5.7 yards a carry, ran for 753 yards. I mean, and had 8 touchdowns. I mean, that's elite, man. That is elite to deal with that. Team was terrible, no doubt. Team was terrible, but that player, my goodness, man, he could run the ball. UGA concern is middle defense. Maybe. Maybe we'll see what happens. Um, the guy that I want to point a finger to is Oscar Delp. Okay, Oscar Delp. A lot of people forget about Oscar Delp, but you shouldn't. You should know who this guy is. Oscar Delp. He is a slightly taller version of Brock Bowers. Okay, if you look at this guy, you might say, "Hey, who is Oscar Delp?" Well, Oscar Delp was one of the highest recruited tight ends ever. I think he was the number one in the state of Georgia. I think number 4 in the country. And he came to tight end U. So I think he's going to do just fine filling in that role. Georgia has probably spent quite a bit of time getting that guy up to speed on how to do what Brock Bowers did. Now, granted, Brock Bowers is probably never going to be replaced at UGA, but if he gives Georgia just part of that, we're going to be just fine. So Georgia has what's his name? Caleb Young. He's been showing out in practice. Georgia has plenty on the receiving team. You got an elite level quarterback who will, very possibly end up in New York by the time the season is mostly over. Georgia's still stacked top to bottom with talent. One of the guys that I do want to put on you guys' radar right now is a guy that you may have missed last year if you weren't paying attention, and that's Arian Smith. Now, Arian Smith has at times struggled to catch the ball, but Arian Smith runs like a 10-9, 100 meter. He will absolutely take the top off of a defense. Yeah, he has grown up quite a bit. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how all of that pans out. I'm really excited to see what we get. I hope we don't get just a vanilla offense like we saw the first time we played Clemson, but I think we had that because JT Daniels was injured. This is probably the healthiest Georgia has been going into a season, which is going to be really interesting to see. Georgia's defense is going to be really good. I think Georgia returned something like 60, I want to say it was 65 or 68% of their players from last year. He do have them butterfingers. But hopefully, he's had enough time. They've practiced with him to get that under control. So it's going to be interesting. But guys, college football is back. All the trash talking, all the smack talking, all the haterade that's going to be passed out. Man, you're full of it. You don't know what you're talking about. Hey, coming. Talking to you, Dion. It's coming. Let's see. I'm not going to have a chance. I'm not going to have an opportunity to do a what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not going to have a time to because I'm going to be on the road. I'm not going to have an opportunity to sit down and do like a full breakdown of the teams, the schedules, the games, of how I think Georgia is going to do against Clemson. Now, that having been said, it's really interesting. It's really interesting because I've seen Georgia. They played pretty terrible. They played pretty terrible that first go around when we had JT Daniels, and then Stetson Bennett had to come in. That game, we won that game 10-3 without an offensive touchdown. The only touchdown we got was from a pick six, right? But if we go back to last year, we opened with UT Martin. It's 48-7. 2022. I don't have to tell you what happened with Oregon. It's 49-3. Go back to 2021. We played Clemson. That game was 10-3. And then if we go back to 2020, 37-10, and that was against Arkansas. At Arkansas. Stetson Bennett threw for over 200 yards that game. Go back to 2019, 30-6 against Vanderbilt. That was with Jake Fromm. I think Georgia's going to come out with their hair on fire and looking to get after it. I think you're going to see a very similar performance. Carson Beck threw for almost 300 yards against UT Martin. I don't know that he'll throw for almost 300 against Clemson, but I think Georgia's going to run the ball at him quite a bit, and then they're going to burn him over the top. I think this thing could absolutely get out of hand. I think 14 points is not near enough for what they could No, not a beach weekend. I'm going to Oklahoma. Um, Not a beach weekend. I wish it was. When we're looking at what I think is going to come out here, I don't think Cade Klubnik's going to be able to handle the Georgia defense very well. I think he's going to make some mistakes, which he's prone to do even in a weak SEC schedule. I think Georgia's going to really take some possessions away, and I can see Georgia winning this game by 24 points or more. I get that. Clemson fans are hopeful and optimistic, but guys, I just don't see it. I see a mediocre quarterback with almost no running backs and a handful of decent receivers. Now they do have, they're supposed to have a pretty good offensive line, but I've heard that many times before. We'll see what happens, but I don't see that they're going to control the game in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Texas Rocks, to answer your question. We are having a friend of ours is graduating basic training, and we're not sure that he's going to have anybody there for him to support him. So we are making a concerted effort to go be there for him. I can't get into the specifics on why their family's not going to be there because I don't know. But I made sure that whenever our son graduated basic training, that I took not only did my whole his whole man, my brain is cutting off. Immediate family was there, but also his godfather was there as well with his son. So we made it a whole thing. And I think it's one of those times where you should celebrate somebody's achievements. And for the soldiers that don't have family there, we could see there's a ceremony they do where your family will actually come and you're in formation. Your family comes and they tap you out, they touch you, and then you can leave formation. To see the heartbreak on the faces of those soldiers whenever there was nobody there to tap them out was pretty rough. So we're going to make sure that we're there for that for him at the very least. So yeah, yeah, appreciate that, DC. But back to the game. Clemson's defense is legit. How often can UGA score? Clemson has issues on offense. While their defense may be okay, I don't know that I would say legit is a good term. And I'm not trying to beat you up and I'm not trying to nitpick you. But if you go back and you look at their schedule from last year, let's go 2023. Their defense was okay. I mean, that Kentucky scored 35. North Carolina scored 20, and North Carolina didn't have that good of a defense. I mean, offense. I think their defense is okay. I don't think their defense is awesome. I think they played a lot of trash teams: Charleston Southern, Fullerton Atlantic, Syracuse, Wake Forest, Miami, North Carolina State. I mean, just Georgia Tech. I mean, you're not playing awesome teams. You're not. Yeah, absolutely, Ronaldo. That's the way we roll around here, man. It's the way we roll. A lot of good men. We got a lot of good women too. Paid the ultimate price. So, and for those of you who don't know, that's me. So we support our veterans. We support our military people. We support our first responders. Not all of those people are good guys or good women, however you want to look at it. And those of us that have served, we hate the ones that are not good more than you guys do. So there's that. So if you go in and you're doing some shady stuff and you're wearing the uniform, we really don't like you. Really don't like it. If you lie about your service, you lie about your uniform, whatever it is. We don't like that. We don't like that. But anyway, but as far as the game goes, talking about the game, this is a noon game. I think Georgia's going to come out, pee and fire, ready to hit, ready to throw down. Kirby Smart does a great job of telling these guys that everybody's looking down on them, talking smack about them. I think Georgia's going to come out and play absolutely dominating, lights out football. I think it's going to be a soul crusher. I think what you're going to see is Georgia is going to run that score up to about 42 points. And I think that you're going to see Clemson struggle to get 17. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and throw it down here right now in the chat, 42-17. I think, and then I'm going to put it on here on the main screen so everybody can see it. That's my score prediction for the game. And the reason I say this, I think Georgia could score more, especially with the weapons they have on offense. But I think Georgia's going to play some ground and pound. He's going to slow them down a little bit. I know for a fact that Kirby Smart has said that he wants to score 41, and he wants to score 41 points a game. That's what he wants, 41 points a game. That's 5 touchdowns and 2 field goals. That's what he wants every game, every game. So I think that they're going to hit that standard. I don't think that's going to be a problem for them. I think that I think that what you will probably see is that Dabo Swinney is going to do his very best to script a very good first drive, get out there and score a touchdown, and then they'll probably get 1 touchdown second half and then a scrub field goal or a scrub. They'll get a field goal at some point and a scrub touchdown at the end when the time doesn't matter. That's what I think is going to happen. I think it's going to be dominating football. The Clemson defensive lineman did give some chalkboard material. Really? Well, spice it up. What did he say? I don't know. I missed that. Let me see. I don't know. I must have missed it. Let me get rid of this screen here. Get back to this. Got a little closer. 28 to 20. 28 to 20. Texas rocks. You must think Texas is going to absolutely obliterate Georgia. You're talking about the number 1 ranked team in the country playing a number 14 ranked team, and you think it's going to be 8 points close? Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. If you would have said 35 to 20, I was like, all right, that's reasonable. I could see that. But 28-20. Oh, that's you cut me deep. You cut me deep, Shrek. But yeah. Well, guys, that's what I've got. Man, been an hour already. Holy crap! I got a long day tomorrow. I'm going to be on the road. You guys feel free to leave your score prediction down below. If you made it this far in the video, I really appreciate you guys being here. It drives up the average time. Really helps us get out on the YouTube algorithm. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share. I really appreciate everybody being here. I'm going to run back through the list here real quick. 225 Girl, ECC, Sephiroth, DC, The Great 34. Kel Stone, thank you so much for being here. Celine Driver, as always, you're wonderful. Where's he at? Reynaldo Gonzalez, thank you for being here, sir. Bubba Man, 49. Thank you so much. And I think we just about got all of them. Oh, yeah, Texas Rocks. Thank you. And DC the Great, I already said that one. Texas Rocks, thank you for being here, guys. I appreciate you guys so much. We're gonna be making more videos as we go along here. But that's my score predictions for this game. I will try to make another video, might be on the road, of score predictions for the upcoming games on Saturday. All right, pick winners and losers. We'll see how it goes. So yeah. Oh, 225 Girl. Thank you so much, guys. You guys don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. We'll be seeing you guys real soon. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great day. God bless. Go Dog.